Hey everyone, Tommy here with part 7 of my grand review, the Shaman cards. Pretty good stuff here. Let's start with Ancestral Knowledge. I think they cannot really just copy the Arcane Intellect from Mage to Shaman, so they had to kind of come up with a different card. So draw 2 cards for 2 mana and 2 Overload. I think the 2 Overload is a pretty huge deal and it's not good enough. Especially if you compare that to the Mana Totem. But the question is, how do you balance this card, this Ancestral Knowledge, if you really want to make it draw 2 cards mechanic for Shaman, and make it different to Mage, which I really appreciate that they are not just copy the card from class to class. Yeah, really hard to balance this card because for Overload 1 it would be maybe a little bit too overpowered. Yeah. But I think it's slightly too weak for constructed play, and the Mana Totem is the better alternative. In Arena, it's quite alright. Next card is the Charged Hammer. I have no idea what this card is supposed to do. I think you lose very high amount of tempo if you play this on turn 4, because a 2/4 weapon on turn 4 is very weak. I am a huge fan of Clockhammer, but with the Clockhammer I also have the problem that I don't need the charges of the Clockhammer. I just play the card mainly for Divine Shield and Taunt. And of course it's nice to kill something like a Knife Juggler or a Shielded Minibot with this card, but usually I replace this pretty quickly with something like Master for Battle or True Silver Champion. Most of the time I end up not using all the charges of the Clockhammer, so I don't really see you using all the charges of the Charged Hammer. And the Death Rattle, yeah, your hero power becomes deal 2 damage, I don't know. Especially with all the new nice totem cards, you kind of want to use your totem hero power more, and not this deal 2 damage hero power, so yeah, I don't see the purpose. I think it's too weak for constructed, and I think it's also pretty weak in Arena. Next card is the Draenei Totem Carver. Yeah, I think this card is not quite good enough for the constructed play. It's close. It could make the cut in some decks, but I think not, because it's just in my opinion, it's a weaker Frostwolf Warlord, because the Frostwolf Warlord gets buffed by every minions and the Totem Carver only by totems. It's 1 mana cheaper, which is a pretty huge deal actually, but then on the other hand, how many totems will you have? On average, maybe something like 0.7 totems. Even if you have 2 totems, 6/6, yeah, that's pretty valuable, but then you played like your hero power 2 times in before, so you're kind of behind on the board. I don't know, here for this card you need like to really have the dream like Totem Golem into Totem Golem, then this card is good, but I don't see that happening so often, so I think this card is a little bit too weak for constructed. In Arena it's alright for Shaman. Next card in line is Elemental Destruction. This card is really interesting, so I would kind of rephrase this card to destroy all minions and skip your next turn, because that's basically what it's saying. Because 3 mana allows you to play this card early, and early minions will not have more really than 5 or 4 health, so yeah, and the Overload will destroy your next turn, literally, so yeah. Of course you kind of want to combine this with Lava Shock, but even if you combine it with Lava Shock, I don't know. I think they kind of wanted to give Shaman another board clear to make to push Control Shaman a little bit back into the meta, but I really don't see it, because it's damaging your own minions also. Nah. If they would make it like very similar to the Flame Strike, then it would be maybe even too strong, because 3 mana is super cheap. But yeah, so I think it's a little bit too weak for constructed, and this card is also very hard to balance in my opinion, because when you reduce the overload amount a lot, then it's maybe too strong, and if you put the damage only onto the enemy minions, then it's also too strong, so very hard to balance that card. Interesting card, maybe some genius deck builder will find a way to integrate it, but I think it's too weak. Healing Wave, very interesting anti-aggro card. Very similar to the anti-heal bot. This is especially, of course, for something like Control Shaman, which is playing stuff like Fire Elemental or like the legendary Windlord. Pretty nice for the control-y versions or mid-range versions of Shaman. Very good card. I think it will see some play in Constructed. I'm not sure if it's truly overpowered, but it's alright. In Arena, not too interesting for Arena in my opinion, because healing there is not so important as in Constructed. Next card is the Mistcaller. I think this card is pretty bad. It's highly overrated in my opinion, but I think people will still try it out in Constructed, but I think it's way too slow. On turn 6, it's really usually where the game starts to decide who is winning and who is losing, and you kind of want to have immediate impact on the board. And this card develops value over time. You need to play at least 4 other minions after this minion to get the value back, which you lost for paying 6 mana for just a 4/4 minion. So this card is way too slow. In my opinion, it doesn't work, but people will try it out, I think. Next card is Thunderbluff Valiant. Wow, I'm really excited about this card because the 6 health makes it very hard to remove. And as far as I am concerned, you press the totem button, you get your totem, and then this totem gets the buff right away. So most of the time you will get a 2/2 with a nice effect like Taunt, or maybe you get 3/1. That's also quite alright. And all your other totems get buffed. And that every turn when the Thunderbluff Valiant is alive. That's pretty huge. This is really the quartermaster for Shaman, which is really interesting. I will totally try this card out. I think it will see a lot of play in Constructed. It's really strong. I think it's also very alright in Arena. And yeah, this card is really amazing in my opinion, because oftentimes the opponent will not have the answer on turn 5, and then he's kind of already in trouble. Yeah, sometimes he will have the answer, then this card is bad, but it's very similar to the Quartermaster. Sometimes your Master for Battle just gets blown away, and then the Quartermaster is useless. So, pretty good card. Next card is the Totem Golem. I think this card is alright. It's a little bit hyped too much in my opinion, because the Overload is a pretty huge deal, and the 3/4 stats are pretty good, but not super overpowered. Yeah, it's pretty good on turn 2, and what is really nice about this card is the ability that it is a totem. That's what it's truly given this card the power, because then you can also buff this card with a Thunderbluff Valiant. That's pretty strong. And yeah, that's a good part about this card. So I think this will of course the play in Constructed, also in Arena. Yeah, very nice card. Next card is Totemic. I think this card is only very strong because of the just mentioned Totem Golem, because you can get this card and then you don't have to pay the Overload price. That's very good. And also with the Thunderbluff Valiant, this card is also pretty good. So you really want to put totems on your board. And yeah, if you just get one, I think you have a 50% chance to just get one of your regular totems. And then the Totemic is really not that appealing to me. But I think it's still alright. It's okay in the worst case. So I think this card will definitely see play in Constructed. In Arena, it's also alright. Yeah, pretty good stuff. Overall, I think the Shaman cards are really nice. They get the Totem Golem, the Totemic, and the Thunderbluff Valiant. These 3 cards are really pushing the totem scheme a lot. And also the Healing Wave seems pretty interesting. So yeah, pretty good stuff here for Shaman. I really like it. Alright, thanks for watching. Please leave questions and critics in the comments as always. And please make sure to participate in the Grand Review Challenge before the forms close on Monday. Bye bye, see you in my next video.